Hello and welcome to this masterclass discussion on combating fraud, brought to you by The Banker magazine from our studio in London. My name is Michael Imeson and I'm a contributing editor at The Banker. Here to talk about the subject is Keith Andrzejewski from EMC Consulting. Keith is the solution partner for the Financial Services Risk, Compliance and Regulatory Response Division of EMC Consulting. So Keith, how big a problem is fraud in the banking sector today?
Well, Mike, I think if you really look at the statistics today, we really see how big that problem's become. In the U.S. alone, we estimate that the home mortgage fraud is around $60 billion a year. Within the American Bankers 2011 direct deposit survey most recently, they estimate that debit fraud is up to about $950 million. Check fraud around the same at about $853 million annually. In the UK, CIFA estimates that fraud has risen 9% over the past year. And I think, if you go outside of banking, you start looking at other industries, maybe even look at medical, healthcare. In EMEA alone, they estimate that to be over $80 billion a year for fraudulent activities. So it's quite a sizable issue.
Yeah, they are very big figures. So what are banks doing to fight fraud? What sort of countermeasures are they using, and are they any good?
Well, interestingly enough, I think with many of the financial services institutions that we do talk to, everyone is approaching it slightly different. A lot of that has to deal with the legacy acquisitions they've done in the past, and they're focusing on the systems that are the weakest at the time. But I think what we can see consistently through many of the institutions is a couple things. One is everyone is trying to get to a centralized fraud system. And so while they are sunsetting old applications, they're implementing new centralized systems. As a result of that, they're going through new data architectures and really trying to streamline the data architect environment so that they're able to pull in more and more information to help detect fraud, which they may have not been able to do in the past, just given their old data models. And I think finally, the third piece is that we're seeing a larger influx of non-traditional fraud data. So for instance, some of that information could be around non-standard business behaviors, and that is somebody in the office at a particular time that they're not supposed to be? Are they doing that more and more frequently? Are they logging into systems that they haven't been able to log into the past? Do they badge into a building and not necessarily visit the desk again, and things like that?
Now, people watching this video will be interested to know that The Banker and EMC Consulting, we've been running a series of roundtables around the world. We've done them in Europe, Hong Kong, and the United States. And you've been involved in two of them. I've been involved in 3 of the 4. What do you think we've learned from those roundtables too far? And have you detected any differences in the nature of the fraud threat and the way it's tackled in different countries?
Yeah, I think we've seen a number of trends, and at least what we see is up and coming fraud. I think internal employee fraud is a concern of many of the institutions that we've talked to. We've also seen that mobile banking and mobile applications is becoming a very big issue for them. They're trying to understand how do they work around that, how do they make sure that they're still doing customer service, making sure they're rolling out new products while minimizing their likelihood of fraud events happening. Are they treating fraud differently, and are they attacking it differently? Well, as you know, we've had many of the same institutions at each different location, whether that's been in Asia Pac, here in the UK, or in New York. And geographically, they each have different burning issues. And again, as I talked about earlier, part of that is because they're dealing with legacy applications, they themselves, and those processes that they have in place have matured. So for instance, if you have a new account opening process that's been redone in Asia Pac, but maybe not in the US, there's some information that you may gather as part of that fraud detection program. So everyone is struggling with something slightly different. I think we see rogue trading as a big topic that's come up time and time again as well. I think we've seen check fraud, credit card fraud has been an issue, and online banking has become a significant issue as well as one of the areas that people want to talk about.